Hi and welcome to BackStage Takoma, the monthly TV series where we preview the arts programming that we have here at the We Are Takoma series with the City of Takoma Park. I'm chatting with Diane Weinroth of the Orfeia Vocal Ensemble, who's going to be performing here at the Community Center on September 26th. Hi Diane and welcome.
Thank you.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about what sets Orfeia apart from other vocal groups?
I'd love to. Orfeia Vocal Ensemble is a group of, right now, 10 women who sing traditional music from Eastern Europe. We sing from all countries and regions in the Balkans, but our special love is Bulgarian music. We're directed by Tatiana Sarbinska, who is one of the most well-known singers of traditional music in Bulgaria. She emigrated here a number of years ago, and we're lucky enough to be taught and directed by her. So we sing all kinds of music from Bulgaria, from Russia, from Georgia, from the different regions of the Balkans.
What sets the music from the Balkan region apart from other folk songs?
Well, there's incredible diversity. So there's a lot of different styles to enjoy, but there are some qualities that are really unique and extraordinary. The range of styles is amazing. Some of the characteristics of Bulgarian music in particular that are very interesting are what are called dissonances, two sounds that sound like they're fighting, that you don't normally hear in Western music. There are very unusual harmonies that you don't usually hear, and there are very unusual rhythms. There are rhythms that are 9 beats to a measure and 11 beats to a measure when we're used to 2 beats and 3 beats and 4 beats. So there are songs that have a melody line on top and a drone on the bottom, just 2 grandmothers in a village singing, and there are songs that have 6 or 7 or 8 layers of harmony.
Is it typical of these types of groups to have 10 plus vocalists singing at once?
Well, one of the wonderful things about this music is that it really is traditional. There are also arranged versions of traditional songs, but all of them are grounded in tradition. So you will literally walk into a village or walk into a restaurant in Bulgaria, and one person may start singing, or 2 or 3 or 4. Villages also organize groups that sing traditional music, and those can range anywhere from 3 or 4 people to 10 or 20. The professional folklore ensembles are often bigger, and they will have singers and dancers, and there'll be troops of 30 or 40 or 50 people, singers and dancers together.
Cool. So when you guys go to Bulgaria and you do international competitions and you sing for people, is there a lot of pressure to be authentic when you go to the birthplace of your genre?
Well, there certainly is the pressure to do it right and to do right by the music, especially in the countries where it comes from. What is so terrific is how welcoming everyone is. People are so thrilled that the music is being sung, that it's being preserved, and that we're interested in it, that people from other countries are interested. And people of all ages will come up to us and they'll talk about how moved they were and how they've sung that song in their childhood. And it's really, really very gratifying. The reception that we get is so warm. But the pressure's definitely on. One of the biggest compliments we get, in addition to just being told how Bulgarian we sound, is that in terms of pronunciation, they can't tell we're not Bulgarian. And we owe all of that to our director, Tatiana. But it does cause us a lot of pride when we hear that. When people say, "You're not Bulgarian?" And we say, "No, we are all American women."
For your show on September 26th, one of the bigger parts of the show is going to be audience participation. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. We're calling this event a sedenka. A sedenka is a working bee. Just like in America we have the tradition of quilting bees, in Bulgaria they have traditions of working bees that typically women get together, although I will say there are many traditional songs that are given to men to sing traditionally, but The working bees are women who get together and knit and do whatever they need to do, and they're singing and they're telling jokes and they're telling stories. So we're shaping this a little bit like a traditional Sedenka, and what we want to do is perform, of course, so that people can hear this spectacular music, and then we are going to teach. We know that because we've performed here before, that people in Montgomery County love music and they love to participate, and we love that too. It's a very traditional way of interacting around this music. So we will be teaching. Tatiana is a gifted teacher. We will have music and she will charm the music out of everyone. So we'll be doing singing, we'll be doing teaching, we'll be talking about the cultural traditions, we'll be doing a little dancing, a little traditional dancing, and then we'll have a little party, which is also very Bulgarian. We'll have food and we'll have CDs and Bulgarian trinkets for people. So we really are going to be helping people learn the music and learn about the cultural context that it comes from.
Wonderful. Well, we're looking forward to it, and we're also looking forward to you and two other members of Orfeia doing a little demonstration for us. We'll get to that right after this PSA.
Hi, I'm Mary Mapes.
And I'm Dinesh Bahadur Singh. We're two of the many WSSC employees who bring fresh, clean water to your home.
And we are very proud to tell you about Roundup.
It's a new program that offers our customers a convenient way to contribute to WSSC's water fund.
And I'm also a WSSC employee and a customer who contributes to the water fund. It's a great program that allows our customers who are facing hardships pay their water bill.
That's why we're asking you to round up your bill to the nearest dollar. If every customer rounded up just 25 cents for a year, we could help hundreds of families.
Contributing to the water fund is easy. Check out your next bill for details on how to round up.
Or sign up online at WSSCwater.com.
And remember, a little change can make a big difference.
Grandma, she's here! Grandma!
Okay, I'm ready. Hi, I'm Jackie. I'm here to pick up Mrs. Johnson.
Hey, Mrs. Wells, she's ready.
Mrs. Wells, thanks for coming. Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad you called the Village of Takoma Park. Okay, let's go.
The Volunteer Ride Program is one of the services offered to seniors who cannot drive themselves and who are members of the Village of Takoma Park. The request for driving can be for doctor's visits, for shopping trips, or for social events. Regional rides are provided as long as volunteer drivers are available.
We've been joined by the youngest member of Orfeia, who has an Orfeia t-shirt, but you can't see it. He's going to help us sing a song called Rastsavtese Bojur Planina, just a verse. It's actually a medley of songs from the Shop region of Bulgaria.
Water main breaks are an unfortunate inconvenience for our customers.
And the trend for breaks is only going up because of our aging infrastructure.
But when a main does break, WSSC crews are ready to respond 24/7 to restore the service as quickly as possible. And when your water service is restored, we have some important information you need to know. WSSC recommends that you flush the cold water lines to your home or business for 5 minutes. Begin with the cold water faucet on the highest floor in your home or business, opening all the others one at a time. After 5 minutes of running the cold water faucets, turn them off in reverse order from the lowest floor to the highest. Opening your taps forces trapped air out of the plumbing system and clears the sediment or mineral deposits that may have been loosened in the broken water main. Prior to flushing, WSSC recommends that you remove the aerator screens on all your faucets. After you flush, rinse the screens and replace. WSSC does not recommend that you use discolored water. The sediment and mineral deposits can alter the water's taste and stain clothes that are washed in the water. WSSC also recommends flushing your refrigerator's water lines for 5 minutes. You'll want to consult your owner's manual for detailed instructions.
Flushing your water lines lowers the risk for contamination that is created whenever a water main is depressurized because of a break.
This may be particularly important for people who have special health concerns where their immunity is compromised.
Following these simple steps will cost you just pennies and will ensure that you continue receiving the high-quality water that WSSC produces for our customers.
If you experience problems with your water after flushing your pipes, please contact our Customer Emergency Call Center. You can call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 301-206-4002 or 1-800-828-6439 or TTY 301-206-8345.
Park. I am talking with Professor Julianne Taddeo about her upcoming lecture for our September Arts Series, which is called Downton Abbey in History, Using the Costume Drama to Explore the Social World of the Edwardians. Hi, Julie. Nice to have you. So, first of all, why don't you tell us a little bit how you became a professor of British history and what sort of speaks to you about that period of time and that place?
Well, I actually got interested as a child when I was watching Masterpiece Theater every Sunday night with my mother, and I discovered all these wonderful British costume dramas. And then I started reading Victorian novels and fell in love with that time period. But it really wasn't until I got to college when I got to study British history, and then just went on to do my graduate work in that. I love the Victorian period in particular because it's so fascinating in terms of gender roles, class issues. But it was through popular television that I got pulled in.
Awesome. So your lecture is focusing on Downton Abbey specifically, of all the costume dramas.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about how that costume drama reflects the Edwardian era and what you think about it?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, when the series starts, we're really coming in towards the end of the Edwardian period with the Titanic, and it's the eve of World War I. So it's a period of just so much change. After the death of Queen Victoria, gender roles are starting to get a little more complicated. There's labor strikes, militant suffrage, the Irish question, and all of this is the backdrop for the family, the estate at Downton Abbey, and the role of the aristocracy in the society, which is about to change. They've already been on this long road to losing their social and economic power, and the war, which occurs at the end of season 1, is really going to change this whole social and political system for them. So we see the larger world, but we of course encounter it through the lives of this particular family and their servants.
Right. So what, in your opinion, makes a good or historically accurate costume drama, and what costume dramas do you think are the most successful?
Mm-hmm. I don't get bogged down too much if it's historically accurate. There was a moment I think that Downton got criticized for. On the bookcase in one scene there was a copy of Gone with the Wind, which hadn't happened yet. So that was careless. But when people look for those details, they're missing the larger point of the costume drama. I think if it captures the mood, it has some period detail, of course, which is important. The clothes, the furnishings, the cars. People love that. It makes the look and feel of the costume drama just fantastic. But I think also the storylines have to be true to the period. So the kinds of things that concern the lives of the characters, their daily struggles, Those types of things, I think, pull viewers in. They want to be able to relate to them through our 21st century eyes, but we also want to feel like that's something that happened in the past, especially because most viewers of costume dramas are women. And we do want stories that we can find relatable, but also breathe a sigh of relief, like, oh, thank goodness, you know, that I have these freedoms that, like, say, Lady Sybil didn't have, or I don't have to worry about not having access to contraception or higher education. So we can view it through that distance, you know, through the historical distance, but we also want characters that are relatable. I think that's what makes it successful. So Downton has been able to do that. My favorite one of all time is Upstairs, Downstairs from the 1970s, and Downton Abbey is very much based on that series. It borrows a lot of the storylines. It's this exact same time period, and people fell in love with that series. So it was the most watched series at the time, and now this one is. So the Edwardian period, it's lavish, it's beautiful, but there's so much going on, especially when the war occurs and people's lives change drastically.
I see. So what do you think is it about that period that has made it so successful? Is it the sort of luxe spectacle of everything? Is it the drama of the war? Yeah, why do you think that costume dramas like Downton Abbey are so highly watched?
I think it's all of it. Definitely the nostalgia for the period. We think, oh, life was just so much more beautiful then. Our lives now are not so lavish. People are much more casual. We think we missed that age of civility, more respectability. But really, do you want to wear 40 pounds of clothing to have to go bathing in a full bathing costume? It looks wonderful on screen, but to actually have to live it, or to live in a city like London that's so heavily polluted. You know, the London smog looks romantic, but it's really just pollution. So it's the fantasy, I think, that draws people in, but people stay for the stories. A series can look great, and this is, I think, what happened with the 2012 Upstairs, Downstairs. It was very beautiful. It had the gorgeous house, but the stories were not pulling people in, and the ratings were really low, whereas Downton is going into its 6th and final season. So that's definitely successful.
Right, and why do you think that is, that there's that difference between the two?
There are certain characters that people have fallen in love with. Mary from the beginning, the Matthew-Mary romance, but now Matthew died, but people still watch it for who will Mary end up with. The family just goes through, and the servants, they're all going through these complicated changes, trying to redefine their lives, and they're experiencing a lot of things that we always experience. So, for instance, what it means, well, we're always in a time of war. That's definitely something. They deal with that whole issue of war, veterans, emotional trauma of war. I think people can relate to all of that. But also, what does it mean to be a woman in your society, whether you are upper class, middle class, lower class? What are the things you struggle with? The marriages that we see on the screen, how couples relate to each other. I mean, all of these are just very personal storylines. And I think Downton has done a good job with developing characters that people can relate to. Even someone like Thomas, the footman, who's always blackmailing people. The viewers love him, and they love to hate him. So there's something about him that has become endearing. And his storyline, I think, is especially timely, especially in light of everything that's been happening with redefining marriage and gay rights. And he's living in a time when he can't be open about his homosexuality, and almost, you know, is arrested and put in prison for it. So a lot of the storylines, which we think are Edwardian, are really relevant for today. The whole rape of Anna, that storyline, and how she feels that she can't come forward, she blames herself. All of this that's going on in the press right now about rape and sexual assault, whether it's in the military or on campus, viewers can relate to these issues because they're timeless.
Right. Well, yeah, definitely. And just to wrap up, what broader question do you think that your lecture will sort of put to rest for people, or questions that you'll bring up in your lecture?
I know that some of my colleagues who are academics are very critical of using TV to study history. But the reality is that this is how a lot of people come to history, through their interest in these dramas. I know a lot of my students sign up for my classes on the Victorian and Edwardian period because they've watched Downton Abbey. I don't think that we need to watch them to criticize, you know, do they get this right or that wrong? But we need to see what's relevant, of how do we view history through our modern eyes? How can we also use the costume drama to look at issues that people at the time didn't always explore, even though it affected their lives? So the issues of race and class and gender. Edwardians, Victorians may not always have been talking about that, but it doesn't mean that they didn't experience those things. So we can bring that to the forefront through the costume drama. And I think that's really relevant. So it is a way to learn about history, but also the way that you would read a novel. It's about having empathy and understanding people in the past, and making sense of their lives, and understanding too that the past and modern times now are not so different. I think that's what people should take away when they watch this, and they should enjoy it for the nostalgia and the escapist element. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. We need that in our lives.
We definitely do. Well, thank you so much for coming and chatting with us, Julie. I'm really looking forward to your lecture, which is going to be here at the Community Center on September 3rd, Thursday at 7:30.